Hello everyone, my soul family. So I have prepared a special presentation on the spiritual awakening and your journey. So it's about the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture behind light workers, behind your awakening and your soul mission? So what is the bigger picture? So I chose the elephant spirit animal for this presentation. This PowerPoint will be available on my page. Light workers are the single most important asset today for the divine mission, but not for long at this pace, because it's about staying in line on the light. You can't just expect to fall off track and receive the rewards that the divine wants to bless us with. We need to take the steps, we need to commit to the journey, we need to actually pass the initiation phase. We used to be seen as the leaders of this free roaming world. Because light workers, old souls, twin flames are highly advanced, intelligent beings. And they were the leaders back in the day, They brought about a lot of innovations to Earth, to humanity, a lot of light, a lot of unconditional love was practiced. But now we are faced with new risks and threats, such as separation from us and the divine, head over heart, thinking with our head, our logical side, instead of our emotions, our feelings. This is why there's a lot of divorce in generations, why a lot of people are having unfulfilling relationships. Diverging goals, goals of the ego, goals of the soul, two different things. Financial instability as a result, because you're not co-creating with the universe. You're not participating in the divine plan. That is the only way that we can experience this easy manifestation and abundance in our life. Lack of spiritual discipline and support is the main cause of this turmoil, these tower moments that inevitably will come through, and emotional stress, because living in unhealthy relationships or unfulfilling lives or careers obviously is going to bring emotional instability. So this is affecting actually the well-being of humans. To survive and thrive, we need to change the fundamental thinking behind our thinking, aka thinking outside the box, releasing old preconceived notions of what's right and what works, and changing our mindsets, meaning not being so stuck on the old beliefs, but rather be open-minded to be teachable and moldable by the universe. Whatever downloads we're receiving from the divine is because there's a divine reason for it. There's some truth to it that has been hidden over the years in the Akashic records. So we need to be open to receiving this information, and then open to interpreting it the correct way, and opening to practicing it in our lives. Now be the change. Look at this playful elephant. Be the change. Okay, we need to change our approach to a more playful, kind, fair, and just one. In love, in everything, in the way that we participate in the community. In order to continue to prosper, we need to incorporate this quantum leap of faith paradigm. Okay, now what is this quantum leap of faith paradigm? It's a perspective that understands that power is fluid, not fixed. So we need to go with the flow of the universe, basically. The future events are not 100% predictable. And that control, in the philosophical sense, is somewhat illusory, meaning that control is an illusion. So we need to release any control of our ego, trying to mold our life the way that we want it to, out of pride or out of ego or out of just, the power hungry or status that is within the ego that deceives you into thinking that that's what you should be chasing out of life. But basically, especially coming this new moon, we need to reevaluate our intentions and our goals to one that's more global, one that's more beneficial for humanity, one that's more of service. We need to evolve our viewpoint into one of multiple possibilities and infinite potential. There's still hope for inner peace, okay? Because ultimately our connection with the divine, this journey back to oneness, to home, that's the real inner peace that we're seeking for. That's gonna bring us bliss. That's going to bring us ecstasy. That's going to bring us heaven on earth. Now, where do we stand? Look how sad they look, those elephants. Where do we stand? While most people want black and white answers, the 21st century is a world cast in varying shades of gray. Our absolute perspective needs to take into consideration and appreciate contextualism. Simplicity should be replaced by complexity, because this spiritual knowledge and this world is more complex than we want it to be. We're trying to simplify anything by thinking through it through logical mind, but it's not going to get you anywhere, because there isn't a simple answer to all of this. And then absoluteness needs to be replaced with contextualism. Seeing things through the context of it, thinking outside of the box, not making everything so absolute. Okay, being adaptable to it, being flexible in our thinking, in our religious beliefs, or more than anything, our spiritual beliefs and our moral beliefs as people. Certainty by ambiguity. So rather than think we know it all, remain open and be teachable by the divine. You don't know anything if you think you know everything. And uniformity by pluralism, meaning that it's not all about you, it's about us as a whole. It's a oneness situation. Such a holistic approach emphasizes organic, free-flowing interaction and co-determination versus rigid beliefs in compartmentalized segmentation and self-determination. So this is all about working together as a whole, okay, and being determined as a whole, okay, rather than competing with each other or creating these rigid boundaries around our life and around our systems as a whole, okay? Creating less separation in beliefs in general. We are all in this together. We have all contributed by allowing it, and we can be the change that the world needs by taking affirmative action. This requires courage. In this quantum leap of faith world, we must learn to go with the flow of powerful forces beyond our control, which is the universe. Attempts at control, such as imposing our own will over that of the divine, can be counterproductive and can even exacerbate problems in your own life. Now, the spiritual journey. Look at all of these different races of animals standing together as one. This is how our life should be. Different races, different cultures, different ethnicities, different languages, uniting back into one. Because back in the day, even in the Bible it says, there used to be one universal language. Just like music is the universal language of today, our tongue language used to be one. Until it was the universe that created this punishment or separation because people were not being united as a whole. People weren't cooperating with each other. So there was this separation basically through different languages, and now this was the birth of different ethnicities and cultures. Humankind has always resisted transformation amid our emotional chaos and tower moments. People resist this because, people want to live off the ego. People want to live their pleasurable life. They want to experience immediate gratification, but it's an endless, vicious, destructive cycle. The new reality that will bring about inner peace will entail dramatic life changes, including overhauling our ego and power struggle and power-hungry ambitions, creating new ways to coordinate and behave in the world, led by the higher self, no longer dominated by the ego self, choosing love over fear, choosing our higher self over our ego self. How else can we guard against potential emotional imbalances, depression and suicide? Because depression and suicide are two very much serious things that happen during the dark night of the soul. It is perpetuated by the dark night of the soul, and because people are stubborn to change their lifestyle, their way of being, and embarking on their spiritual mission, that's when they get stuck, and this is what creates this depression and hence suicide. Because you think life is not happening your way, whereas your life is actually happening for you. You see, not to you. It's a divine blessing in disguise. Now, this is caused by separation between self and the divine, a lost connection to the spiritual realm. Remember, we are spirit beings living in this human world, not human beings living in this spirit world. Now, let us look a little bit back on time. okay? The history of humanity, of our souls as a whole. History has taught a lot about learning from our mistakes. Yet some people still seem to have trouble swallowing this truth. What does this mean? That we have so many examples in history of when people made mistakes, people made war with each other, from corruption, greed, how it destroyed civilizations. We have so much evidence in history. All of the books that I'm teaching on my school of thought only emphasize and prove this notion. All of it is proven, and yet we still keep making the same mistakes, and we don't see where we are at fault. Years of egocentrism and the pursuit of power and knowledge even has blinded, for the cruelty of intentions, has blinded them to the fact that they are slowly self-sabotaging their efforts in the long run. You're only self-sabotaging yourself. Relationship tensions are brewing, and we are perhaps at a crossroads in history between third-party situations, aka infidelity, unloyalty, and future abundance. Because you can't expect to be in third-party situations in any part of your life. This is a symbolism of betrayal, deceit, anything. And you can't expect to manifest abundance in your future. You see, your present actions has a lot to do with what you're manifesting in your future. So in order to get this prosperity and future abundance that we all want as a whole for our planet, so that we can be a planet of abundance, then we all need to put in the work as light workers. Because we are all light workers if we choose to be. If we choose the calling, if we choose to say yes to the initiation, then you're chosen. Other rising issues are beginning to take over and be a serious threat to some people's financial stability and economic wealth. The ego-driven self has been long known as a bully for being greedy and stingy in their efforts to share, making enemies around their tribe. You know, being a bully, stepping on other people's shoes in order to get on top, all of this ego-driven competition and ambition from within us is only making enemies around you and is only creating separation and broken trust and friendships and creating enemies along the way. Tribes are being broken. Family is not being honored like it was back in the day. You know, Native Americans used to really honor their family tribe. It was what motivated them to keep them alive. Egocentrism has been humankind's fall, and hence spiritual corruption. It all has to do with the ego. So we either choose to keep acting out of our ego, or we choose to let that ego go. Even in the Bible, you know, the fall of man all became with the original sin. The original sin of Adam and Eve, giving into temptation, corrupted the rest of humanity, generations down the road. And this all has to do with ancestral karma. This is why I really strongly suggest to book a personal coaching session so that we can do a quantum healing session and really go back in time, see what are the ancestral karma being brought down in your lineage specifically. Because anything could be brought up, like even alcoholism could be something in your family lineage that's being brought up from your ancestors. Now the repercussions are showing, and this is known as the law of karma and the law of attraction. You receive what you give out into the world. And now we have the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is driven by experiences that trigger us and force us to face our deepest shadows. Many don't like what they see nor want to deal with it, but when it's divine intervention, you will be forced to deal with it. And this can be very painful for many, as many wounds stem from childhood and even past lifetimes. It can be a very scary place to delve back into. Nobody wants to face those deepest shadows, but it's necessary. And these are ancestral karmas that can take years to overcome with therapy and healing energy work. Look how egocentric this octopus looks. Very wanting to hold on to what they have and not share. And this is creating rivalry. If you look closely at the turtle there's a mad turtle there. There's an angry turtle, there's a competitive turtle. And now the wisdom is calling you, the wisdom of the Egyptian pyramids. The third eye awakening is representative of the spiritual awakening. Forging a new path. We need to pave the way for a new global transformation towards harmony, peace, and justice. We need to build healthy partnerships. We need to forgive. We need to practice kindness. And above all, we need to be of service to humanity, walking together. And this is also about walking together in unity with your divine other, divine masculines and divine feminines in line and in unity, because God sees and hears all things. So we are to embody loyalty, trust, and faithful obedience. So what happens now? The human's unkind actions, such as that of corrupting innocent beings, caused significant discord from within. And we need to return back to this innocence. The innocence of how we were born before we were corrupted by society that was created by man anyways. God didn't create our society. So we need to return to that truth from within by accessing our ancestral karmas and knowledge from the Akashic records and taking a look at it. How can we heal our wounds? How can we return back to innocence and inner joy? Learning to play nice with other people on your journey will be a tough but ultimately rewarding lesson for you in this coming new earth. Lesson of the day is to be kind. We need to wake up. Look how deep in slumber that elephant looks like. Deep in slumber because some people are happy to be asleep. Some people don't want to take action. Some people, are just happy the way their life is, and that's settling, okay? The spiritual awakening forces us out of our slumber, whether we like it or not. And taking action is crucial at this point in time, specifically this year, 2020. This is the beginning of the age of Aquarius, which is all about breakthroughs and innovations in spiritual beliefs and global harmonization. The old self is ego-driven, and the new self is divinely driven, with a spiritual mission in mind. We need to choose the latter. We need to be more giving and sharing of our time, gifts, and talents with the world. At this pace of sleeping souls, we will not like what we have to see down the line and what we are going to be. You need to wake up to this truth and stand strong in your spiritual knowing. Now look at Australia. All of you know about the burning fires that just happened in Australia, which we are all praying for. Australia's burning fires is just a universal warning to end this egoic ambition and competition between us, for it is literally breaking us apart. Slowly these natural disasters are no coincidence. Nothing in this universe is coincidence. All of it is manifested by our own reality, by our own actions, by our own thoughts, and by our own intentions. Just like in ancient history, civilizations were not just randomly destroyed by chance. It was God's doing for misuse of power and human corruptedness. He gave us a chance to start over, yet we are heading in the same direction, which is not good. Because, in the Bible, in Genesis, it talks about the Noah's flood, right? God had promised that he would never again create a flood to destroy our world, to destroy the humans in it. And that flood, he created both humans, animals, everything, nature, everyone, innocent and guilty alike. But he never said that he wouldn't destroy it in another way. And it did happen later on in the Bible when he created another natural civilization disaster by fire, okay? Because he never promised not by fire. And it's no coincidence that nowadays, recently, there's been so many fires around the world. I'm pretty sure that in California, there was another one. The volcano eruptions are basically fire as well, from Hawaii, Australia. These are all warnings from the universe. Global warmings, where is our planet gonna end? We're not taking care of our nature. And this is, ego-driven as well, because instead of taking care of our nature, people rather, make plastic, make paper, make cosmetic things, make things that harm our natural planet versus taking more holistic approaches to those same things, like, using the environmental ways of making paper, other ways, being more enmeshed and participant of organizations that protect nature and conserve our oceans. Now, when it comes to soul tribes, I put the African animals here because Africa is very closely in their tribes. As you progress on your soul journey and you begin to accept your initiation, you will begin to attract the right soul tribe for your vibration. Like-minded individuals work towards this same global mission. And slowly as you awaken on your soul journey, you will be attracting more of those like-minded individuals that have to do with your soul mission. Is it perhaps because everyone is taking wealth and power for granted, not seeing the bigger picture, that we are still in this together to help rise our planet to a different higher vibration where only love and peace exist? Now, there's a psychological theory that has actually been proven that, for example, when there's an emergency situation, maybe someone desperately needs help breathing, and there's like 3 people there that know how to save this person, okay, to get back to life. They're breathing. And yet nobody takes action because everyone thinks that the other person's gonna take action. And then at the end of the day, the person is dead because nobody took action. That's the same phenomenon and a metaphor for what's happening globally, spiritually, as light beings on this planet. We are forgetting who we are, and people are just acting out of this 3D matrix, which is destroying our civilization, our humanity. Trust that justice will always prevail in every matter. You know, the universe always prevails in its truth, in God being the ultimate king, us being together as one in his obedience. We all have the same God, no matter what religion you follow. It's all one creator up there. And justice always prevails. Take a look at your life and see where has justice not prevailed. And if it hasn't yet, trust that it's coming. Because any situation, justice will always prevail. Now, which path will you want to walk down? Are you going to be on the good side of life or on the bad side of life? The path of love or the path of death? Or even fear? Now, the war from within. Look at this. This war from within. We're having like a military war within our own minds. The battlefields from within. The elephant in the room consists of the ego, the pride, and greed that need to be understood as parts of a systemic whole. Every single part of distorted part of you makes up your whole, which is your system, your whole, your spirit, your soul within. So you need to take a look at each part, okay? Embrace every part of you, but then take a look at which ones need help rising back up, which ones need uplifting in vibration. Because trust that even though you think it's not affecting you, every part has an important role to play, okay? This is a scientific theory, a physics theory for that matter. The sum of its parts makes up the whole. Now, if this is you, you're going through a dark night of the soul because you're not liking what you see. And most likely you're creating resistance because you don't want to admit that you have to do something different now. There is a superiority complex at play and too much ego filled with pride, greediness, and failings of all these universal tests coming your way. Many times, unawakened beings have been mingling with the wrong people and have not been protecting the right ones. Hence, they have been broken friendships, betrayal, and loss of trust, being negatively influenced towards toxic behaviors and negative addictions. The unawakened beings has thus turned aggressive, lashing out into the world scene, revengeful because of what they experienced in life. So now they feel that they have to inflict that same damage onto others, and lacking faith in true divine and sacred love. And this couldn't be further from the truth, but this is how people are functioning, sadly. Not everyone, but mostly the unawakened beings or the ones who are resisting their spiritual journey. This psyche of vulnerability, because when you act out of distorted ways, the deep root cause is that there is a deep sense of psyche in there that's insecure and vulnerable and fearful for that matter. So this psyche of vulnerability has led to unhealthy crossing of boundaries, either of self or of others. It could be self-inflicted harm through addictions, through actual harm, through negative thinking, or it can be inflicting harm on others. The divine masculine and the divine feminine seem to have a special relationship on their twin flame journey. But the 3D reality hint that this friendship is also waning because people are so attached to what's happening in the physical world and forgetting about the spiritual realm that is invisible to the eye. The bigger picture of why twin flames came down to earth. A lot of people are leaving behind their twin flame journey and deciding to see their twin as just a normal 3D person and leaving them behind, not practicing forgiveness, compassion, and unconditional love, which is the lessons that twin flames came here to earth to show the world how to practice it. But yet these twins that are acting out of distorted ways are not doing their inner healing work. And this is where seeking spiritual guidance and coaching can really help. Past separation is just one example of where we can end up again if we don't change our approach to love. The romantic era, once assumed to be impossible or even non-existent, like that Romeo and Juliet story that people attach to, like if it's a forbidden love, like it's not possible in this lifetime. That's being a distorted romanticism, you see, because there is hope. There's many examples here today of happy couples who are thriving, harmonious, and long-lasting, and that are examples to the rest of humanity. There are those few rare couples out there, and we must believe this. And in order to manifest it, you need to believe that that you're going to be one of them. This romantic era was ultimately what led people to be obliterated by years of inner conflict and depression. You know, because love is the greatest cause of depression and inner conflict. Sadly to say, it's not your job. It's not even health for some people. Most of the time it has to do with love, which is really sad because love is free and love is so easy. It's all around you. It's in everything, even in nature. When you know that you're one with nature, with God himself, if you have the love of the divine, you're already loved. You have all the love that you need. So don't base your love on being accepted or even, being rejected or of the approval of others around you. You are loved no matter what, and just know this truth. So do we face these similar risks today? And now we're going to talk about the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang. We need to be the way showers for our future generations, the way showers of peace. Separation is a real concern, but it is really protectionism at play behind the scenes. Fears of being rejected give rise to defense mechanisms for protection, along hints of rebellion. You see, because you're trying to protect yourself. And in the Course of Miracles, it teaches that once you're in this separation mentality and the ego has taken over, anything that seems happy or joyful or united with the divine seems like you don't deserve it or you don't want to believe that it's real. And this was also talked about in The Power of Now. And it's taken away from living in the present moment and taken away from this integration of masculinity and femininity from within. So protectionist measures invite a spiral of increased distortion of masculine or feminine from within. So how can we integrate our innermost sacred masculine and feminine from within? Because we need both to be whole, you see. Our feminine side is our intuitive side, our nurturing side, our emotional side. And our masculine side is our action-driven side, is our logical side, is our strategic side. Negotiation is a key part of maintaining healthy relationships with our divine partner. Communication skills, negotiation skills, unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion. All of these skills are things that I teach in my soul coaching services. As above, so below. This is the hero's gamos, as within, so without. Integration of masculine and feminine to balance your yin and yang. Now this is about the global mission, okay? This is the bigger picture, the global mission, okay? The global mission is all about raising the vibration of our planet as a whole. We're not the only planet in the universe. We need to show others what unconditional love is and looks like, how to practice forgiveness, and how to be compassionate towards self and others. We need to realign our chakra energetic body with the crystalline body of the Christ consciousness, of the divine consciousness, of the galactic consciousness, of the divine consciousness. And this crystalline body is going to give way to show us how to bring about heaven down to earth. This spiritual journey is a learning process towards self-mastery and soul evolution. And it all has to do with the cycle of rising through your Kundalini awakening, through up your chakras, and down again and up again and down again and up again, which is a huge part of my healing methodologies. Making the best out of this life by staying in the light and guiding others on the right path too. Being that spiritual teacher, mentor, and guidance to others when you have mastered yourself. And even if you haven't mastered yourself 100%, the intention behind your actions is what matters, okay? We're not saying that you have to be perfect, but you do have to strive to be perfect, okay? Because that's the ultimate goal. And only then can you ascend. So only teach others through your sacred worth, the sacred truth, okay? Even if you make mistakes, don't teach others to fall back in your mistakes, to follow in your mistakes. Teach others the contrary. And by teaching others, you're actually learning as well. That's the secret to teaching. You know that? You learn better when you learn and you teach it. That's you really learning the material. So be an inspiration to those around you. Motivate and support them on their journey. Be the healing presence that the world needs. Be kind, be gentle, be love. Bringing heaven down to earth is the global mission of all spiritually awakened light workers. Now, how do we go from the old to the new? The old self to the new self? Please check out my new soul coaching program, A New You. It very much has to do with this, guiding you specifically hand by hand through a 10-week process of how to go from the old self to the new self, a reinvention of your spiritual self. We need to take charge towards this world's peace. This means that the peaceful integration of the masculine and feminine from within rests upon the harmonization of old and new interests. Let go of what no longer resonates with your higher self. Sacred union consists of a 3-part process in a synchronistic flow. The first sacred union that must occur before the other two can occur is the sacred union with the Creator, aka the divine, your spiritual calling, your soul mission. You are not alone, surrendering to your divine will. Oneness, the I am complex. I am divine. I am Christ consciousness. 2, the sacred union with self from within. Knowing yourself, your deep soul level, when you're stripped from your ego, from the illusions, loving yourself, and being aligned with your higher self and spiritual truth. This authenticity, this courage to stand in your truth, assertiveness, boundaries, self-worth, self-value. And 3, sacred union with your divine mate. Only then, after those 2 sacred unions have been accomplished, can you now arrive in sacred union with your beloved. Through vulnerability, an open heart, intimacy, and tantric sexuality. Now, what is the solution to this brand new day where we're going to experience this gold again, like the golden pyramids back in the Egyptian days of abundance? How can we return to those golden eras? An abundant world is in humanity's best interest than a romanticized vision of homogenized self-governance. What this means is that everyone striving for their own abundance and leaving everyone else behind. This looks in the modern world as, wanting to be the richest, the most powerful, and not caring about the poor or not caring about your community. This is not creating fairness or equality, and hence its corruptiveness. And this is not going to create abundance, because the more that abundance around you, the more you're going to easily be in that abundance. You understand? We want to live in an abundance, not in a small abundant bubble that is probably going to get corrupted anyways. It's going to get destroyed because justice always prevails. Okay, so this is not about harboring this abundance. In this light, the self-serving, misplaced emphasis on power ambitions and competitiveness has been problematic and even counterproductive. More financial stability equals more emotional relief, more education, and more resources. If we can accomplish this as a whole, in our entire universe, our entire planet, every country, every continent, every city, a financial stability for every status, then that's going to be a relief for everybody. In turn, more peace among humanity, which equates to longer living and healthier lifestyles. Basically, longer lifespans. Because the less resources we have, the less financial stability, the less health that we have at the pace of this stress of people not taking care of their health, not taking care of their health and wellness, the holistic approach to healing, this is going to create shorter lifespans. And where is this going to leave us? It's going to eventually make extinct our human race. So who doesn't want a longer life and a healthier lifestyle? So how do we integrate this globally, this global integration? There's hope, okay? Because as individuals, we reestablish ourselves as the foremost supporter of the global system of humanity that begat this quantum world. The quantum field is basically, jumping timelines, whatever happened in the past, whatever's happening in the present, and whatever's happening in the future is all dependent on what we do today. So we need to reverse the vicious cycle of chaotic, self-centered approach that has plagued the new millennium towards the virtuous cycle. You get it, virtuous, with virtues, healthy virtues. Cycle of collective problem solving that makes all humanity better off. This is about setting your intentions this full moon, this new moon in Aquarius, this Friday. Make a collective consciousness, being of service to humanity. How can the goals that I'm setting for this new moon cycle be of benefit to all of humanity? Don't be selfish, basically. Be selfless. To rebuild its leadership position, humankind must reestablish justice from within. Okay, give that justice to yourself. Let go of past guilt and just forgive yourself and know that you can move forward now with a new sense of integrity and character. Bringing about this difference in the world, making your wrongs right with your actions, aligning with your spiritual and soul mission. We need to be the warriors of light, and this requires courage. Us, the leader, us as a whole, as one, we are the leader of our humanity. We are the leader of our reality. We are the leader of ourselves. The reformations required for world abundance and peace include the abolishment of the 7 sins. We all know what these 7 deadly sins are, but it really comes to play into this conversation, and it has to do with creating this world's peace, because it all begins with self, because every self is one part of the bigger board game. You see, every person is playing a role in this bigger game called life. And now if we can all work on abolishing these sins from within us, then how better off is our world as a whole going to be? Okay, because our world is a sum of its parts, which is us. So we need to take this into consideration. We really need to pull ourselves from this 3D matrix, our daily life, what we're seeing in the reality, and look at the bigger picture from a higher perspective. So what are these 7 sins? Pride, envy, wrath, gluttony, lust, sloth, and greed. We need to abolish all of those. And if you need help knowing what those are, look them up, research them, and look into it and see where you are needing more focus and what it is that you need to heal. Now, the beacon of light. Who is this beacon of light here? The light workers. Okay? The light workers, the twin flames that were incarnated here with a specific mission, a double mission at that. They are the beacon of light, the leaders of the world that are going to guide others in the right direction. But you can also be a leader of your own family, of your own tribe. If you're aware of this stuff, educate people around you. It's a win-win situation, you see, because engaging with our inner masculine and feminine to integrate them as one, the yin and the yang together in balance, is essential to become whole within ourselves first, so you can reassert yourself with an overarching, somewhat ironic goal. Because to lead the world into an era no longer dominated by an egocentric world. In doing so, you will actually be promoting your own self-interest by promoting collective interest. You see, if we work together as a whole on promoting this abundant reality and prosperous world peace, then it's in it for us as well, because we're going to be winning from that too. So you can increase your chances for a brighter future by winning the influence and leadership role with your higher self. Engage with your higher self, get aligned with your higher self, meditate on this day and night, and stay on the path of light, okay? If you need guidance, please seek my help. In engaging the global community, it has seemingly lost by acting out of foolish ways. which is of the ego. So basically, this is our ultimate goal. The alignment of our chakras as a whole, as a planet. We have Earth's chakras, you know that, right? There's points on the Earth that are highly condensed with powerful vortex energy. They're considered the Earth chakras. And these Earth chakras, you need to visit those places to get in line with that spiritual truth, get awakened, and get back in touch with your spiritual relationship with the divine, and really work on dedicating your life to this world's peace, so that down the lines, years from now, rather than experiencing more catastrophe and more separation, we're going to be experiencing more harmony, more unity, and more love. So that is the presentation for today. Seeing the bigger picture. I really hope that this motivated you and inspired you to take action in your life, to be that inspiration and beacon of light for those around you. Have an amazing and beautiful day, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Namaste.